Pokémon Legends EA is set to be released in October 2025. That got me thinking, how much will it actually sell? So in this video, I'm going to try to answer one simple question. Can Legends EA outperform previous Pokemon titles in sales? Let's analyze past sales, upcoming hardware, and pricing to make an informed prediction. So let's talk briefly about Pokemon Legends EA itself. It is a new game which is set to be released in October of this year, and it's going to be set in the Lumio City, and its significance is that it's the next major title in the Pokemon franchise. I just want to talk a little bit about how much can Pokemon Legends EA actually sell. But because if you look at the previous games, there are actually some significant deviations from the first game, which is Red, Blue and Green, to the last Pokemon game, which is Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So this is the image that I want to talk about, and the number might be a little bit different here and there, but on the broad scale, it's quite accurate. The number one best-selling Pokemon game of all time is undoubtedly Red, Green and Blue. It sold almost 31 million copies, okay, as of 2024. Then comes Sword and Shield at 26 million, then Scarlet and Violet at 24 million. Keep in mind that Scarlet and Violet had insane amount of bugs. It was a glitchy, buggy mess upon release, right? If you look at this graph, it's insane because Scarlet and Violet sold 10 million copies in the first 3 days. Can you imagine? Even though it was a buggy freaking mess of a video game upon release, it sold 10 million copies. And if you look at the very bottom of this, there is Red, Green and Blue, and it sold 1 million copy for the first year. Although it makes sense why it's like this, because Red, Blue and Green were the first Pokemon games. So people didn't know what Pokemon was. Naturally, it took a long time for people to understand what Pokemon is all about. The game mechanics, the gameplay, the collector's aspects of Pokemon. So basically with time, Pokemon Red and Blue and Green started to sell more and more, right? Because it's the first game and people are nostalgic about the first few games, right? So if you look at the second most popular game, within 7 days is Legends Arceus. So it sold 6.5 million copies. Then Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, I don't know how, but it sold 6 million copies in the first week. It was also a ridiculous game. Many people were disappointed in the design itself. There were so many glitches in it too. People were breaking the game left and right. So there was basically a gym. You could go into the gym and you could advance to the final, the gym leader, without even battling any of the other grunts. Then it's Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and then Ultra Sun, Moon, Sun and Moon. So you can see that the list keeps going down and down. This is like the first few days of the sale, except for Red, Green and Blue. That took like 1 year to reach 1 million copies sold. And if you look at this is like the biggest video game franchise sales of all time. So if you look at the first one, it is Mario, 776 million copies sold. Then comes Tetris, 495. Then it's Pokemon, 480 million copies of games combined sold. This was a list that was compiled in 2024. 480 million copies sold is nothing to be scoffed about. It's a big number. Anyway, my point is, if you look at the sales numbers, Pokemon always sells more copies than people think they do. Why? Because Pokemon is the biggest media franchise in the world. Even though they introduce new generations via games, that is not their primary source of income. Their primary source of income is through merchandise. So they sell so much merchandise based upon the new generation. And even though Legends ZA is not going to be a new generation, there is obviously going to be new merch. So what I'm saying is that even though Pokemon Legends EA may not sell that much, the merchandise value of it will still outperform some of the previous titles in the Pokemon franchise. Now let's briefly talk about the factors that could boost Legends EA sales. Dual platform release. Pokemon Legends EA is going to be released on October 16th for both the Nintendo Switch and the upcoming Nintendo Switch 2, which will expand the potential audience. But you have to keep in mind that the Nintendo Switch 2 is an expensive console. Not many people are going to buy that console. It is a $450 console, and then the games are set at $80, dude. Obviously, the introduction of Mega Evolution, in my opinion and the opinion of many people, Mega Evolution is one of the best, if not the best, gimmick that Pokemon has ever introduced. I believe Terrestrialization is the most balanced mechanic, but Mega Evolution is like the most well-known mechanic because of how cool it looks and how powerful the Pokemon becomes after the Mega Evolution. But one more thing is that Pokemon could have enhanced gameplay, right? So it's building upon the open world mechanic introduced in Legends Arceus. Legends Arceus is not technically open world. You have to go between places. If Legends EA is actually open world, then it could increase the appeal of people to purchase this game, right? There are people who would still buy it, even though it's sky-high prices. The Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be a good console, because you can play at 120 FPS at 1080p on the handheld. So this is like one of the most powerful consoles, and the memory is improved, the storage capacity is also improved. So there are so many good things about the Switch 2. Now let's talk a little bit about the potential challenges. So if Legends EA doesn't offer significant advancements over previous games, it might not entice the players. You know, there are Pokemon diehard fans who will still buy any Pokemon game that Pokemon puts out. Even if the quality is bad, people will still buy the game because it's Pokemon, right? You want to enjoy the new Pokemon game, and there could also be performance concerns. So basically, what I'm saying is that if there are like performance issues at launch, like what happened with Scarlet Violet, it could deter people from buying it. Scarlet and Violet still sold 10 million copies in 3 days. Pokemon Legends EA is also a spin-off game, which means that it's not a main series game, so that people may not actually buy it thinking that this is just a sideline of the main series game. So this is technically Gen 6 and Gen 9. It's not Gen 10. Now, as I've said before, the Nintendo Switch 2 is priced at $450 with bundles like the Mario Kart World Package at $500. The new titles for Switch 2 are seeing increased prices, with games like Mario Kart World and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom priced at $80. Just think about that. All of the Pokemon games before, the Switch games, are capped at $60. But this, for the Nintendo Switch 2, it's going to be $80. Pokemon Legends EA might be $70 or $80, depending on where you buy it from. And this could impact sales. Anyway, talking about all of these aspects, what are my sales predictions? 15 to 18 million units, aligning with Legends Arceus performance. Now, keep in mind that this game is going to be released on 2 consoles at the same time, right? It could drive up the number of units actually sold. So on the optimistic scenario, let's say it's like 20 million units sold, the factors which could influence sales could be reception of the game upon release. So if it's a buggy mess of a game upon release, then maybe people won't buy it as much. So far, the marketing of Pokemon Legends EA hasn't been that great. I can kind of understand why they are doing this, because they don't want to spoil anything. If we keep up with the previous Pokemon games sales, if you see the previous numbers, Pokemon Legends Arceus sold 14.8 million units, almost 15 million units. So let's go back to the graph, which shows how many copies have sold in a short period of days. Pokemon Legends Arceus has sold 6.5 million units in 7 days, in a week. So we can easily estimate that Pokemon Legends EA is going to sell at least 6.5 million units in a week if people are not going to be disappointed. Pokemon Legends Arceus was a good game. It was a decent enough game that people were justified in buying the game, because it was not a buggy mess of a game upon release. Game Freak really took an year off to release this game. So hopefully this game will be released without much technical glitches, without much technical bugs. Hopefully the price isn't too overinflated, so that we can expect a decent number of sales for Pokemon. Anyway, this is my thoughts. I don't know if I'll be buying the Nintendo Switch 2 at all because of the current climate. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video.